So what is the simplest way to turn this bunch of mallards right here into dinner? Well, today I'm going to show you my favorite way to process and butcher these birds and get them ready for cooking. Hey, George here with the New Hunter's Guide YouTube channel and podcast, and today we've got a viewer requested video. We're going to be turning these birds, beautiful mallards, into dinner. And I'm going to show you what has become the simplest way and process that I have learned in order to do this. Now, a couple bits of information before we get started. I shot these birds about 3 days ago. They've been sitting in my fridge, in the garage, in a plastic bag, just waiting for this day. You do not have to butcher the birds immediately. All right, I like to butcher them immediately. However, I don't always have the time. Sometimes you're beaten, worn out, the weather's not good, and I would not do this inside. And so you can keep them for a couple of days before you go ahead and process them. Now, some people, they like to throw their ducks in a bag or on the floor in the garage for like a week to 10 days or some craziness like that. As best as I can tell, that is not safe from a food safety standpoint, but hey, do whatever you want to do at your own risk, though it's perfectly fine to keep them in the fridge for a few days until you can get to them. Now, the technique that I'm going to show you guys today is going to be very simple. All right. We're going to take the breasts out of this bird, we're going to take the legs out of this bird, and I'm going to talk and show you guys a little bit about the best way that I have found to cook these birds. I am not going to pluck the entire bird. You can do that. As far as I'm concerned, that is no way near the simplest way, but also, guys, I found the cooking techniques that I'll tell you a little bit about at the end of the video for the breast and the legs drastically better than any whole bird that I have cooked thus far. Not to say anything against cooking whole birds, however, I've found this way much tastier and more satisfying for me. Every now and then I will pluck a whole bird just to try a new whole bird cooking technique, but I found nothing better than what I'm going to show you guys today. And no, there is not that much meat outside of the breasts and the legs on one of these birds. You do not gain a whole lot by plucking and getting ready to process and cook the entire bird. All right, you gain a little tiny bit, but honestly, for what I've done and what I've liked to eat and all the recipes that I've tried, this ends up being better, and it also depends on how shot up your bird is. Sometimes that impacts what you want to do. If you have a pristine bird with one pellet in the head, well, hey, maybe you want to cook that whole bird or just try something like that, but usually that's not the case. Now, in order to get these feathers off of these birds, I have heard all kinds of crazy stuff that people have done. All right, I've heard people that they'll dip their fingers in candle wax and then you use that extra grip in order to pluck and pull all the birds off super fast. I've heard people boil the entire bird in water and then pluck the bird. So the technique that I'm going to show you guys today involves something you've already seen. I've got these right here, 7mm nitrile gloves. I get these at Harbor Freight for like, I don't know, $15 for a case of them. They work great for all kind of stuff. Am I wearing these in order to protect me against the blood and the guts and the gore and potential diseases and so on? No, I'm wearing it because it's grippy. It's going to help me pull these feathers up much easier and get this thing cleaned up and ready to be breasted out super fast. But without further ado, let's go ahead to the table. All right, first things first, we got our duck laid out here. We've got a bag here off to the side. Very important. Now, we're just going to find a good spot. We're going to grab, pinch like this with our fingers, just like that. Get a good spot, nice and firm, and just tear up, toss it in the bag. Pull up, just a robust, firm upward stroke, and just get those feathers off of there. Now, yeah, we're going to have stuff blow all over the place. That's why we do this outside. So just nice, robust, upward strokes. Just like that, and you're going to pull most of the feathers along with the down off at the exact same time. And these gloves really help get a nice, firm, steady purchase on those feathers. And you're going to pull it all the way down to about that far for the breasts. And then we'll just do a little cleanup work here. All right, we get it to about this point. We still have some of these little feathers, and just rubbing your hand just like this will actually tear off. With these gloves, we'll pull off a good number of whatever's left, and then you can clean it up. Now, people get crazy about this part. You can burn these off, whatever's left here, with a lighter afterwards. I'll probably show you that. But right here, this is pretty good to go. Very clean. Now we take a very special knife. This is what we call a sharp knife. This is a cheap one from Sam's Club, but it's very sharp. We're going to find the breastbone right here in the middle. You can see it, and we just want to get as close to that as we can on the side. Make very light cuts, pushing in. We want to try to get around that breastbone and follow it all the way down as best as we can. So you can see we're starting to open that up. We just keep cutting around the inside of that rib cage as best as we can, following that breastbone as we go. The idea here is you're just sort of filleting or scraping that meat off of the breastbone. You can do this a little faster if you want to. I'm trying to keep it in frame, but just take it all the way down to right here. You can see it starts to end. And then we will just get in here, make our cut up, get to the other side, right about where it starts to end. And you can see we've got all the meat here. We just have skin and such holding it on. So then it's just a matter of getting inside, cutting up through that skin, and getting it off on the other side. Pull some of these feathers off here. Now, that is almost perfect right there. All right, we'll clean this up a little bit. People say, well, George, you missed some of the skin. You know what? The way I cook them, it really doesn't matter that much. So that's one side. Let's do the other here. Just cut right in. Again, we are following this breastbone, or the rib cage rather, all the way down, trying to make sure we don't leave any meat on the rib cage. Cutting up. Flip it over. Couple feathers I neglected before. We'll just pop those off. Very clean. Beautiful piece of meat. Now for the leg. We're just going to pull away the skin from the leg as best we can. Just get that free now. Push in and up. And you'll see we've got that mostly exposed. And then you'll be able to get in underneath here. Then I'll take a pair of kitchen shears and just cut the leg off right there. And then we're going to pop that joint right there in the thigh. Super simple. Then we'll just cut around that joint. Both sides. And then I just want to pull this off, losing the skin. And there we have it right there. Beautiful. Get these little feathers off of it. That's your thigh and your leg bone. All right, here's another one for you in high speed. All right, so this bird right here, we can see he's taking some pellets. 1, 2, 3, 4. These two in particular, right into the breast area. So what we want to do is keep a lookout for those as we cut into this one. So let me show you this one here, same technique. All right, now this one here, we can see pellet hole right there. I am not seeing an exit wound. So that pellet is probably still in the breast here. Didn't make it all the way through. So we can see here from this shot, no exit wound, and we can see here from this shot, maybe it went through here somewhere. So we want to be very careful when we go to clean this up further and then cook it on where those pellets might be. All right, now we got this side here. We see our entry wound here. And hard to tell. You see a lot of this blood. This is what this is. It's blood from the wounds. This will wash right out. This piece of meat is mostly fine. We'll clean this up and wash it out, and we'll be good to go. All right, now we get a breast. We pluck off all what's left of these littles that we can. Then once we've got them all, or we just can't take it anymore, we get our lighter. We got these little pin feathers here. And the lighter just sears them back. Or if you have an outdoor grill burner, you can just take it right up there. Just sear those feathers right off. Much easier, faster than a lighter. All right, I've got all this beautiful duck meat cleaned up. We're gonna take a look at it, but before we do, guys, nobody is sponsoring this video. I wanna encourage you, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button to support the channel. And why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well. I know 80% of you guys watching this right now have not subscribed to this channel, and we've got all kinds of videos, field tests, experiments, reviews, all sorts of things for you. All right, let's take a look at this beautiful meat. Look at this right here. Beautiful color. Once you wash it up, get that blood off of it, some of those other last feathers come right out. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. All right, so how do I recommend you cook this? All right, so you take these beautiful breasts right here. All right, there's one side, there's the other side. What I like to do, hit this with just an itty bitty minuscule amount of olive oil just to give it something sticky. I'll then put some crushed black pepper, salt, and a little bit of granulated garlic on both sides. Season it up. Let it sit for about half hour to an hour. Let that seasoning sink in. And then what you're gonna do is throw this in a smoking hot pan just like you would a steak. Take a pan, cast iron, stainless, whatever, heat it up with some olive oil just until that olive oil begins to smoke. Throw these in there and sear them. You want to cook them maybe 2 minutes per side, maybe less. You're trying to get to about 130 degrees internal temp. Now people say, George, that's a bird. You can't cook them like that. Guys, waterfowl are all red meat. All right, it's not like poultry. These are all red meat. You want to cook these to medium and really not any further past that. Sear them up real good. I like to maybe make a nice little blueberry sauce. Just take the drippings from the pan, add in some blueberries or blueberry jam, maybe just a little bit of white wine, whatever you've got in hand will help kick up the flavor, and then some butter and maybe a little bit of salt at the end, and just stir that up, reduce it down till it's thick, and then I just serve that on the side or maybe drizzle it right over top. These things are absolutely amazing. In terms of the legs, what I like to do, two main things. Number one, you can use them to make soup. Turns out great. Any soup recipe you want, throw them in there, make a stock, cook them up, pull them apart, throw the meat back in. But even more than that, I like to take the legs, toss them in salt, pepper, granulated garlic, garlic, and olive oil. Then throw them in a pan in the oven at about 400 degrees for somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a quarter, and then eat them like chicken wings. Seasoned wings, they turn out amazing. Now, if you guys want to know more about how I scored this sweet, sweet meat right here, check out this video where I tested the Boss War Chief copper-plated bismuth against the Boss Legacy Load, or check out this video right here where I pattern tested it through 9 choke tubes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time, God bless you, and go get 'em in the woods.